Good morning, student. So today, as in continuation with chapter number 5, it is important to know about different types of therapies and what type of treatment it is required by each therapy. So children, starting with behavior therapy. Behavior therapy states that psychological distress arises due to faulty learning. When people adapt maladaptive behavior, it leads one person to suffer from psychological distress. And to overcome the psychological distress, various principles have been used, such as classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and observation learning. So, children, during behavior therapy treatment that is used to eliminate the faulty behavior which cause distress and substitute them with the adaptive behavior pattern. So, behavior analysis is to find malfunctioning behavior, the incident of faulty learning, and the factor that maintain or continue faulty learning. Malfunctioning behaviors are those behavior that cause distress to the client. Incident factors are those cause which predispose the person to indulge in that behavior. Maintaining factors are those which lead to a persistence of a faulty behavior. For example, in the malfunctioning behavior of smoking, the anxiety provoking situation in this, the causative or the incident factor, the feeling of relief is maintaining factor to continue smoking. The method of treatment is through establishing incident operation and consequent operation. So, incident operation control behavior by changing something that precedes a behavior. Establishing operation is to increase or decrease the reinforcing value of a particular consequence. For example, if a child gives trouble in eating a dinner and establishing operation would be decrease the quantity of the food served at tea time, or praising the child when he or she eats properly tend to encourage this behavior. So, the incident operation is the reduction of food at tea time, and consequent operation is the praising the child for dinner time. So, children, the incident operations is important for the therapist to know, which makes a particular behavior occur. So, the various techniques that are used in behavior therapy are negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement refers to following an undesired response with an outcome that is painful or not liked. For example, the teacher beats the child when child does not listen in the class. Whereas talking about aversive conditioning refers to repeated association of undesired response with an aversive consequence, in which the consequences are not very pleasant for the client. This could be understood with a simple example. An alcoholic is given a mild electric shock and asked to smell the alcohol, which leads to his leaving alcohol. If an adaptive behavior occurs rarely, positive reinforcement increases deficit. If a child does not do homework regularly, positive reinforcement may be used by the child mother by preparing the child dish favorite, which increases the behavior of doing homework at appropriate time. So, children, aversive and negative reinforcement has the negative and painful experience for an individual. Whereas talking about differential reinforcement, it is an effective method wherein positive reinforcement is given for wanted behavior, while negative reinforcement is given for unwanted behavior, a behavior which is not wanted by the particular situation. So, if a child cries for not being taken to cinema, the parent ignores the child when he or she cries and taken to see cinema when he or she shows wanted behavior. Whereas, so children, another type of technique that is systematic desensitization. It is a technique that is used for behavior therapy introduced by Wolf for treating phobias or irrational fears. So, in this, the therapist prepares a hierarchy of anxiety provoking stimuli with least anxiety provoking stimuli at the bottom of the hierarchy. So, in this, the therapist relaxes the client and asks the client to think of least anxiety provoking situation. In this, the client is you asked to stop thinking of fearful situation. If the slightest tension is felt over the session, the client is able to imagine more severe fear provoking situation. So, the client gets systematically desensitized to the fear. The process of systematic desensitization is based on the principle of reciprocal inhabitation, which states that two mutually opposing forces inhabitation inhabits the weaker. Another type of technique that is known as token economy. Person with behavior problems can be given a token such as reward every time a wanted behavior occurs. And the last technique, that is modeling, is a procedure which uses the vicarious learning, wherein the client learns to behave in a certain way by observing the behavior of the therapist who act as the role model. So, children, vicarious learning is the learning by observing others. It is the process of rewarding small changes in the behavior. The client gradually learns to acquire the behavior of the model. So, children, these are the different types of techniques that are used in behavior therapy.